Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so Skip, Shannon, let's get to it.
Good morning. Welcome to Undisputed. Happy Friday. I'm Jenny Taft with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. How are you both doing today?
I'm doing great. It's the end of the week. About to go 5-0. Keep my unblemished streak alive. In almost 4 years, never lost a debate to Skip Bayless.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Allow me to say a Friday shout out to the GOAT, Lil Wayne, who recently dropped an album called Funeral, which pretty much describes what's about to happen to Shannon Sharpe on this show.
Well, okay, you can be the little GOAT. Wayne is the little GOAT, but that other GOAT we don't know nothing about. You ain't got no LeBron shirt on. You need a crown, not the Jumpman logo, a crown.
It's a good sign when we shout out Wayne to start the show. All right, guys, I feel like it's only appropriate to start with Skip's Cowboys and the latest with their quarterback situation, because according to a report, Dak Prescott and the Cowboys' lack of a long-term deal stems back to the beginning of last season. After starting off with 3 straight wins to go along with 9 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions, Dak's camp reportedly asked for more money. According to the report, the Jones family was, quote, not only upset at Dak's representation, I think they were also a bit upset at Dak as well. So, Shannon, are you surprised by this?
No, I'm not surprised, Jenny. And let me tell you what I'm not surprised at. I'm going to have a different answer than what you think I might have given. I'm not surprised at the lengths and the depths that Jerry and Stephen Jones are going to try to make Dak look greedy, to make Dak look selfish. And that's what they're doing. This is why they keep leaking this information. It's the very reason that 2 years ago at the Combine, they strolled to the podium and asked Dak's going to need to give us a discount. It is an honor to play quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. All they're trying to do is to paint Dak as greedy, excuse me, as unwilling to work with us. Skip, this is a shame. This is Lord and whale poop. The Cowboys, and I say Cowboys, I mean Jerry and Steven, shouldn't stoop to this level. A question. Jerry, why did you release Dez Bryant? He had a contract for 2 more years. You deemed that his play was not sufficient to earn that amount of money. Okay, so Dak saying the amount of money that you're offering me, I deem my play is worth more than. You leaked that information? This has come from the Cowboys. You know that, I know that, Skip. So let me ask you a question. Dak Prescott tears his ACL the first game of the year. $35 million still on the table for him, Skip, at $110 guaranteed? Why not? So, hold on. So Jerry Jones can go back and ask Dak to take a pay cut because they restructure contracts in the NFL all the time. And I don't want to be broad and talk about the NFL. Let's talk just the Cowboys. In the history of the Cowboys, Skip, do you believe they've asked players that they deemed weren't playing up to par to take a pay cut? As a matter of fact, that's how we got one of their all-time great linebackers, DeMarcus Ware. You remember that, Skip? That's how we got him. How did we get him, Skip? He was under contract with the Cowboys. The Cowboys released him because they didn't believe his play was up to par. Jerry cut it. We got it. So Jerry has done this before, but it's only as long as Jerry can do it to a player do he deem it appropriate. But if a player were to ask Jerry for more money because he believes he's performed better or performed better than the contract, Jerry has a conniption. And now he leaks this information to the Cowboys fan base to say, see, guys, we're trying to get this done. But Dak just being greedy. Dak is just being unfair to us. And I don't really know what you want us to do, but we're just going to hold firm to our guns. That's all Jerry's doing. No, I'm not surprised Dak asked for more money, because you shouldn't have let it get to this point anyway. You had an opportunity to redo the deal, and you didn't do it. So this is where you are right now. Dak, keep on holding out. Stick to your guns, bro.
So, timeout. How do you know that the Cowboys leaked this information? How do you know this didn't come from the agent of one Dak Prescott? Because I could argue it benefits them as much as it benefits the Cowboys to leak this information.
No, it does not. No, it does not benefit Dak. How does it benefit Dak that the Cowboys thought he had a deal, he played well the first 3 games, and now all of a sudden he's asking for more money? How does that benefit Dak?
Well,
exactly.
You could argue that he thought he deserved more money. Okay, so now back to Jenny's question. I was a little surprised by this, but this certainly explained and made more sense out of a lot of things that I have not been able to make sense out of. So let's backtrack. We do know that this wasn't leaked by the Cowboys. These were public comments by Jerry Jones, as pointed out by this story, that, remember, after opening afternoon at Jerry World, they had a big win over a not very good Eli Manning quarterback New York Football Giants team. Dak had a big day, threw for 405 yards, had a QBR of 94, scale of 0 to 100. Really good. Way to go, Dak. Jerry said after the game that it is imminent that we are going to get a deal done with Dak Prescott. And somebody said, Jerry, imminent meaning what? And he said, I'm talking about days. Well, I had told you the previous week that once Ezekiel Elliott came back from his holdout in Cabo San Lucas, and I thought Jerry caved in. He got a great deal, $90 million total dollars. We can go on and on about how much is guaranteed, but it was a really good deal that did make Zeke the highest paid running back. So I told you, and you kept holding my feet to the fire on this. I kept saying, Shannon, that means that Dak's deal is imminent. I expected Jerry to get Dak done in the next couple of days right after Zeke, ahead of the home opener. I thought it would be like 2 nuclear bombs dropping in the Cowboy locker room in a good way. Boom, they got Zeke done. Boom, they got Dak done. Boom, here we go. Super Bowl, here we come. And I did pick last year's Dallas Cowboys to win the NFC and get to the Super Bowl. So I'm waiting. Nothing happens. I'm waiting after the opener. A day passes, 2 days, 3 days. I'm thinking, well, maybe it's tomorrow's Undisputed. We get to talk about Dak's new contract. Nothing happened. They go to Washington, and Dak has another really good day. He hits 26 of 30 passes, had another big QBR of 94, scale 0 to 100. They had another big, easy win over a team that you thought wasn't very good, the Washington Redskins, although they are arch rivals of the Cowboys. And nothing. We don't get anything from Jerry Jones. There's no announcement. There's no deal for Dak. Here comes Miami to Jerry World, the lowly Dolphins. They're getting the doors blown off them by everybody. And the Cowboys blew their doors off 31-6. And Dak had another very good day. QBR of 82, not hugely great, but very good. So he started off with QBRs of 94, 94, 82. And Shannon Sharpe, the Hall of Famer, is telling me each Monday on Undisputed, these teams are garbage. These games shouldn't even count. These are empty calories. These yards shouldn't even count. You're overrating, said the Hall of Famer Shannon Sharpe, how well Dak is playing against bad football teams. Well, guess what? According to Charles Robinson, and I do respect his reporting on Yahoo, that's when Dak's representative, I assume it was Todd France, CAA, went back to Jerry as they kept trying to go back and forth over pennies, basically, because they thought they were so close. And he said, Jerry, according to this report, no, we just changed our number. We warned you this could happen if we didn't get this deal done. We change our number to a number that Charles Robinson reports was a ridiculous demand, ridiculous, quote unquote, on the part of Dak and his agent. And
so Jerry said
all
that
of a sudden,
publicly?
says Charles Robinson. No, he didn't say that. I'm saying that's from Charles's report. Ridiculous.
So
what have I been telling you all along?
Where did Charles get this from?
My sources are telling me that Dak is asking for ridiculous money. Right?
No.
So
yes.
you're stuck again, Shannon. You dismissed the first 3 games as garbage teams, and yet Dak and his agent had the audacity to say, we bet on ourselves, Jerry, and we won. You won? Yeah. Against the Giants and the Redskins and the Dolphins?
Hold on, Skip.
Really?
Skip, hold on.
Time out. Jerry, okay, go ahead.
All I want to say is this. I said everything that you're saying. I said these teams aren't very good, but that's not what you said. You said the Giants are division rivals. You said the Redskins are our arch division rivals. You played Dak's performance up. Not once did you say the Giants in Washington and Miami was as bad as I said they were, and you hyped Dak's performance. Now it's time to get paid. You say, yeah, he had a good game, but it was against bad teams. Now, which is it? Were they bad then or are they bad now? Or is Dak's performance good? Was it good then, or is it not good now?
I'm a Cowboy fan. I love my quarterback. I loved him before anybody loved him. I loved him after the first exhibition preseason game I saw out here in L.A. against the Rams when he was a raw rookie out of Mississippi State. I'm not in the Hall of Fame. You are. You're the one who told me it's all garbage. So maybe if Jerry was watching Undisputed at that point, he sat back, and I know he does watch us, and he said, the Hall of Famer is saying these are garbage teams. And now they're asking for a ridiculous new amount of money off those 3 games. And according to this report, Jerry Jones was steamed. He felt burned. He held it not only against the agent, he was very upset with Dak Prescott. Shannon, I've told you, the one guy I really know, the guy I spent hundreds of hours around as I wrote 3 books about the Dallas Cowboys, Gerald Wayne Jones Jr. I think I get him. I think I have a really good feel for him. And there's one thing you do not do to Jerry Jones. You do not double cross him. You do not change the deal in the middle of the deal. You do not dare him to suddenly have to pay you way more money, a ridiculous amount of money, because Jerry has a short fuse on that temper. Jerry, remember, his reputation is with everybody else, all the other stars he's ever dealt with, he has overpaid every one of them. But they didn't cross him. They didn't jerk the rug out from under him at the last second and say, April Fool's, Jerry, we want a new ridiculous number after the first 3 games. Nobody ever did that to Jerry, but if you cross him, he will blow. And once he blows that gasket of his, ask Jimmy Johnson, bad things start happening. He gets really stubborn, proud, dug in over here, just the way Dak and his agent are stubborn, proud, and dug in over there, way over there. So now a funny thing happened, Shannon Sharpe. As Dak was on the way to the bank, he continued to bet on himself because Jerry said no. Okay, I'll bet on myself the rest of the year. And over the next 13 games, Dak's average QBR fell all the way to 62. Scale is 0 to 100. So first 3 games go 94, 94, 82. That's an average of 90. And all of a sudden, the next 13, it falls clear down to 62. Some of the notables, he had a grand total of 34 against Green Bay at home. He had a grand total of 26 at New England. Oh, he had that 55 on Thanksgiving afternoon at Jerry World, a complete, utter humiliation at the hands of the Buffalo Bills. And then, of course, he goes to Philly, the game of the year. He misses 2 or 3 big throws, especially the one to a wide-open Tavon, has a QBR of 38. Pro Football Focus ranked Dak over the last 13 games the 15th best quarterback in the NFL on performance over those 13 games. He bet on himself, and he lost. Did Jerry then say, I lower my offer? Did he drop his offer? Nope, he did not. According to everybody, he stayed right where he was. He may have even sweetened the pot a little bit, for all I know, because the deal on the table is really good. I keep telling you, it's 35, 36 million a year. It'd make him the highest paid quarterback in football, about 110 million guaranteed. And Charles Robinson did note that the Dak team now is starting to think, well, it is a really good offer. Maybe we should think a little harder about taking it. So that was the good news in this. But the bad news is that he says both sides are still a little raw from what happened early in the year. This doesn't surprise me at all. I knew something like this was going on. And again, the Dak who bet on himself early and suddenly wanted more money, Shannon, Should he now reduce his demand because he played pretty ordinary football over the last 13 games? I'm okay if he doesn't do that. I'm not okay that he upped his demand the first time.
I'm gonna ask you a question, Skip. So at all his 62 average over the last 13 games, where was that QBR in total over the course of the year? Not the last 13 games. When you average it out, they play 16 games, not 13, not 11, not 5, over 16 games. Where did Dak rank in QBR?
Fourth, thanks to 94, 94, 82.
See, there you go. Whoa, Skip. So in other words, if I get out to a great start, I lose 3 games, but I've given myself cushion and I make the playoffs. Should I not make the playoffs because I lost 3 games in a row? I don't think so. I love how you always talk about Dak jerked the rug out from under Jerry. So did Jerry jerk the rug out from under Dez Bryant when he had 2 years left? Did he jerk the rug out from under DeMarcus Ware? Because DeMarcus ended up with the Broncos, and I just want to know how. You see, what has happened is that Jerry thinks players should be grateful for whatever he offers. You should be glad. That's how he thinks. He's got his fan base, and a lot of fan bases think like that. Well, you making that kind of money. I would do anything to make that kind of money, but it's relative. You're not a professional athlete. You have to look at it in terms of what you do based on the money that you make. See, Jerry feels he can do whatever he wants. I'm the owner, and you take what I give you. No. Jerry was so upset at Dak. He was so chafed and rubbed raw by what Dak had done. He didn't let him go test the market. He put the tag on him. So in other words, in actuality, he wasn't upset at all. Because if you don't want something, you let it go. Clearly, Jerry wants Dak Prescott. I'm surprised at the length, but you still haven't told me where Charles Robinson got this information from. He got this from Dak and Todd France, right? Is that what you're telling me?
He might have.
You do know. Stop
might have.
Skip.
Yeah.
Skip.
I don't know.
You've been in the business far too.
If you do, I'm good to listen. Did you talk to Charles about this? I didn't.
Skip, you've been in the business far too long. You know guys are not going to release any information that paints them in a negative light. But Jerry releasing this does what? It paints Dak in a negative light. You know this. A common man, you don't have to be a Rhodes Scholar. Hell, you can barely just be the road map and understand what's going on. You know that, Skip. Don't do that. Don't play on people's intellect.
Shannon, agents talk to other agents. Agents have close friends who are other agents. It's highly possible Charles Robinson knows an agent who's very close to Charles. I'm not doing anything. I'm just telling you the truth as I know it from almost 50 years in this business.
Skip, so I was going to make sure, I'm just for me. I haven't been 50 years, but I've been a little circled around the NFL. So one agent is going to tell another agent, this is what we're going to do. Knowing that if it gets out, it's going to paint my client. It's going to paint me in a negative light. It's going to make me look greedy. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to tell another agent with the possibility of getting out. Or I'm going to be the agent and I'm going to tell Charles Robinson, this is what we did. Jerry offered us this. We played great the first 3 games. We asked for more. So he's going to do that, Skip. You and I both know that's not going to happen. From the very jump, everything that's gotten leaked, what they're offering Dak, how much is guaranteed, when they offered it, has come from the Cowboys side in hopes of painting Dak Prescott in a very negative light. They started this campaign 2 years ago, and they've been unrelenting in it since.
Shannon Sharpe, if they really wanted to nail Dak Prescott, if they really wanted to completely discredit and undercut him, which would be cutting off nose to spite your face because he is the face of their franchise, they would then leak exactly how much he's asking for. I don't know the exact figure, but I think it's over $40 million. So you say, what about Dez? What about DeMarcus Ware?
Yeah,
Baloney.
What about it?
They were making pennies compared to this. What did Dez make the most when he got his big deal? Like $10 million a year? We're talking about...
No, he's making 14.
We're talking about $40 million a year. It's crippling to the salary cap. It's such a commitment that if you blow it, if you way overpay this one and get stuck with what you've called many times on this show, a mediocre Dak Prescott, you have blown your next 5 years. I don't think, again, most people would say this leaked information actually would put Dak in, paint him in a good way because he had the guts to bet on himself against Jerry Jones. He won for a while and then he lost for a while. So, again, I'm just throwing it back at you because you were the one who dismissed the first 3 games as garbage. I did not. So I thought Dak did show me a lot of gumption. He showed me backbone. He went out there and said, okay, watch this, Jerry. And he did. He showed him up for 3 games. And then they did something you can't do to Jerry Jones. You can't suddenly ask for a ridiculous more amount of money than you were asking for.
But the thing is that I spoke about that the first 3 games. You did not. But you know what I haven't heard from you yet? You didn't mention anything about Jason Garrett. Every time you lost the game, it was Jason Garrett's fault. It was never Dak Prescott's fault. Now Dak wants his money. You have yet to bring up Jason Garrett. Why is that?
Wait a second. I would say 10 times out of 16 games, you gave Dak Prescott an F. Well, why should I bring up Jason Garrett when you're giving my quarterback Fs? I would say F suggests it's all his fault. So, again, I'm just accepting what I got taught by the Hall of Famer Shannon Sharpe. F, F, F. Fail, 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 fail. That's who he was. He was Dak, fail, Prescott.
Who in this world knows Skip Bayless? Skip Bayless, the great Skip Bayless from Oklahoma City, is going to be accepting of anything. Everybody know you ought to be ashamed of yourself, Skip, talking about you accepted it. You can't see me, but I can see you. And the look on your face, like, you're right, Shannon. Skip, all I said was, I'm looking at Dak's play, and I'm looking at who he's playing against, and I graded accordingly. But every time I did, the lowest grade you gave Dak all year is a C. Everything else was B's and A's. And even when I gave it, you said it was his head coach's fault. Now, all of a sudden, all those losses is not Jason Garrett's fault, it's Dak Prescott's fault. You put blame on a man, you never put blame on the day after or 2 days after. It was always Jason Garrett. Now it's time for him to get paid. They constantly leak. The Cowboys leak information. You have yet to mention Jason Garrett, mention the Cowboys. Skip, they could have did this deal after, going into year 3? But they chose not to, right? Why they do that, Skip? Why you wait till the...
No.
And plus now...
No.
What?
They chose to. They made this offer the moment they could first make it. They were real close for a long time. It went on for a year. And I thought, okay, before the opener, we'll get this. Where's the announcement? I'm waiting. No, because Dak and his agent kept saying more, until they were asking for money that even I, his biggest fan, said, I'm sorry, that's out of bounds. That's outrageously out of bounds. I think they want $40 million. I think they want Mahomes money. Mahomes, the clock is now ticking on a Mahomes deal. I don't know what he'll get. He could get $50 million. He could be the first quarterback to get $200 million guaranteed. Does Dak deserve that? No, he does not. He hasn't proven to be Patrick Mahomes. Maybe he will, but he can't sell that just yet.
Skip, baby, you know what? I love how you talk about they were close. You know what, Skip? I've been to a couple of dances. I went to the 8th grade dance, and I went to a country western bar in Denver called the Stampede. And the only time closeness matters is when you're country dancing and when you're slow dancing. That's the only time. But in 8th grade, we had chaperones, so you really couldn't get that close. They weren't as close as you thought. But I just want you to tell me, why are the Cowboys continuously leaking information that would paint Dak Prescott in a negative light? Okay, you offer this. You want to hold to that. Why do you feel you need to advertise it to the world?
the only way you can argue out of this is by claiming that they leaked it, accusing them of leaking it, because you know the information makes you look really bad.
In speculation whether Kevin Durant could make a comeback attempt with a delayed NBA season, Nets teammate Spencer Dinwiddie had high praise for KD. He said, quote, at 80%, Durant is Dirk Nowitzki. At 100%, he's the best scorer of all time. Shannon, some strong words. Do you agree?
No. Skip, look, I get it. As a teammate, Skip, and especially you have a great teammate, you heap praise and you try to say, oh, man, this guy's unbelievable, a reason why we're having such great success, although Kevin Durant has not played for the Nets yet, Skip. But I get what he's trying to do here. But, Skip, he went overboard. How do you feel he's better? So what have we seen? So have we not seen Kevin Durant healthy? We've never seen Kevin Durant average 35. You can't say if this, if that. What we've seen from Kevin Durant in his previous, 11, 12, I think he's been in the league 11 years, 12 years, prior to this year, him being hurt, Skip. We've never seen him score at the clip that Jordan did. We've never seen him score. First of all, take Wilt out of the equation. We know what Wilt. Wilt was 30 and 23, so we're going to remove him. We're going to go since the merger, Skip. Is he a better scorer than MJ? Is he a better scorer than Kobe? Is he a better scorer than what we've seen over James Harden over the last 5 years? No. And to say 80% of Kevin Durant is Dirk Nowitzki, Skip, does he realize what Dirk Nowitzki was? A finals MVP, a league MVP, 12-time All-Star. He was the first true stretch. A guy that height, at 7 foot tall, that could shoot it from that distance. He was the first. And to say Kevin Durant at 80% is Dirk Nowitzki in his prime, that is an utterly ridiculous statement to make. Now, I believe Kevin Durant, Skip, the last publication, some people believe he's a top 10 player. If he's a not top 10 player currently, by the time he's done, I believe he will be. But to say Kevin Durant at 80% is Dirk Nowitzki, when Dirk Nowitzki is an MVP, so you believe in that at 80%, Kevin Durant still would have been an MVP. Kevin Durant still would have been a 2-time finals MVP. At 80% of what he is, what he was at his best, you believe he would accomplish that. I do not, Skip Bayless. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what Kevin Durant is coming off this Achilles injury, Skip. Now, I do not believe Kevin Durant's game is based on explosiveness or quickness. But it's going to be interesting to see because a half an inch here or a half an inch there could mean, and I know it's difficult to contest a guy that has the arc, a guy that's 7 foot tall and shooting at the ball at a 10-foot apex. I get that. But it's going to be interesting to see how this Achilles affects his game and what he can and what he can't do. So it's not like they asked Kevin Durant, Kevin, now we're going to need you to average, about 10, 12, 15 triple-doubles a season. We're going to need you to lead us in rebound and lead us in assists. Kevin Durant has been a scorer. He's averaged 6 assists. LeBron, his greatest season has yet to, he has yet to average 6 assists in a season. LeBron has 16 seasons of those. So, Skip, it's not like we're asking him to facilitate. He's never done that. Russ has taken on that task. Steph Curry had that, and Draymond took that task in the Warriors. So he's been a scorer. But I find that, this should be beneath Spencer Dinwiddie. You can hype a guy without trying to minimize minimize what another guy's accomplished. Kevin Durant is a hell of a ball player, and I hope he comes back to what he was or even better. But to say at Kevin Durant at 80% is Dirk Nowitzki, that's false. Patently, blatantly false.
Did I just hear you proclaim Michael Jordan the GOAT? Did you just say Michael's
Skip,
the greatest
we talking about scoring. Skip.
Right?
Skip.
I think you just did, and I appreciate it.
Oh, my.
I applaud you for that. Way to go, Shannon. You finally acknowledged, you finally gave in and joined the rest of the world. Jordan is the GOAT. Here he is, right here.
Before you go,
Jordan is the GOAT.
Can I ask, before you go, how do you deduce? I'm saying Michael Jordan is a better scorer. Kobe is a better scorer. James Harden in their prime are better scorer than what Kevin Durant is. How do you deduce I say that Michael Jordan then is the GOAT? I didn't say that.
Okay, I'll let you off that hook right now, but now you're back on another hook. Kevin Durant is the best player on the planet. We haven't seen him for a year because he tore his Achilles tendon. So he's been out of sight and out of mind until his new teammate, Spencer Dinwiddie, made this comment. Spencer Dinwiddie actually made a very objective, very true comment. Kevin Durant is the most talented scorer we've ever seen. I often called Michael Jordan a supremely talented overachiever. In fact, Bob Costas once used that line from my Chicago Tribune column during a finals telecast on NBC. He liked it so much. But that's what Jordan was. He wasn't as gifted as Kevin is because Michael was 6'6". Kevin is 7 feet tall, and Kevin has an 8-foot wingspan. Kevin Durant has made 90% of his free throws for an entire season. Kevin Durant's an 89% free throw maker for his career. He's 7 feet tall. 4 times Kevin Durant has made more than 40% of his three-point attempts for a whole season. Think about that. 4 times he went over 40% from 3. What? And back in the days, I was on a show called Cold Pizza when Kevin was at University of Texas for that 1 year. I routinely predicted on the air, this guy is going to win multiple scoring titles in the NBA. And everybody on that show laughed at me. And now he's won 4 scoring titles, and twice he's averaged more than 30 points a game for an entire season. We've never seen anything like Kevin Durant. And just when you thought you could say, well, has he done it at the highest level? Back-to-back finals, he went to LeBron's house for game 3s in the King's house, in his palace. And he owned those games. He took them over. He made shots right in LeBron's grill, jumper after mid-range jumper. Kevin Durant is the best mid-range jump shooter we have seen since Michael Jordan. And for him to be back-to-back finals MVP just cemented the case. It validated everything. Yeah, he can do it at the very highest level against the King. What?
Skip, that's not what Spencer Dinwiddie is saying. What about the 80%? I ask you a simple question. Would KD have accomplished what he accomplished at 80%? At 80% of what you see?
Accomplished what?
Would he have been back-to-back finals
Dirk
MVP?
at 80%? Yeah. Yeah, I'll give him better than Dirk at 80%. I will.
Skip, stop.
Well, I just will.
Stop. Come on,
okay.
Man. No, stop.
Let me give you Exhibit B then from another teammate of his, although now an ex-teammate. Andre Iguodala said about a year ago, told Sports Illustrated this quote, if I might read it, listen and learn. Andre said of Kevin Durant, people don't appreciate him enough. He's the most talented scorer of all time, hands down. He's a walking 30 points. He'll get 30 on 12 shots. That's very, very hard to do, very efficient. Most guys need to feel the ball in their hands a lot to get a rhythm. He does not. Michael Jordan and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar were the 2 guys with unstoppable moves. MJ had the fadeaway, Kareem had the sky hook. But KD is a 7-footer who can hit a hezzy pull-up from 50 feet out. That's his unstoppable move. That's it. I couldn't say it any better myself. Andre Iguodala gets it. He has high basketball IQ. In living with Kevin on the same team, getting to see him in practice, Andre finally concluded that's the most gifted scorer of all time because when that jumper's falling, you can't block it. You can't even get a hand up in his face. It's up too high.
Skip, I'm not debating that. I'm not arguing that. Just because someone is talented, Skip, who's the more talented of the receivers? Randy Moss or Jerry Rice? Randy Moss ran faster, he could jump higher, had a bigger catch radius. Just because he's more talented, what do the numbers say? What does touchdowns, what does yards, what does catches, what does that say, Skip? The numbers say Jerry Rice is the greatest. Okay, Kevin Durant is maybe more talented because he's taller. He can shoot the ball at a higher arc. But what does the numbers say? And then the argument is 80% of what you see Kevin Durant is Dirk Nowitzki. And I ask, do you believe if 80% of what we've seen Kevin Durant at his best, do you believe he would have been an MVP? Do you believe he would have been back-to-back finals MVP? I do not.
I don't know. 80% is hard to quantify. He is so supremely gifted that if I took 20% away, would he still be pretty unstoppable? Yeah, he would be. And again,
Skip, do you realize what you're saying?
I was wondering about Dirk. I wasn't. Yeah. Oh, I know exactly what I'm saying. I never was sure about Dirk. He did have that one breakthrough against LeBron, but that was more LeBron's fault than credit going to Dirk Nowitzki. That was the 2011 finals when LeBron James suffered the worst superstar meltdown in the history of sports in games 4, 5, and 6. LeBron melted down and opened the door for Dirk to finally have a breakthrough and say, oh, okay, I am this guy. I never thought he was quite that guy, and I'm still not completely sure he was that guy. Kevin, yes, he's that guy.
Can I ask you a question? Skip, if you don't mind me asking, can I ask you a question? Did Kobe melt down? Because Kobe was back-to-back finals MVP. They had come out back-to-back finals, and Dirk swept them. He also beat Kevin Durant in Westbrook. So did he melt down? So did they melt down? I just need to make sure. Because we're saying they're melted down. So Kobe melted down because he got swept coming out back-to-back finals MVP. So he melted down. Why not? Wait a minute, just a second.
Did you watch? Wait. Was Kobe up 2-1? No. That Laker team was shot. It was finished. It was quitting. It quit on Phil Jackson. You know it. It was decimated. It was injured. Kobe was hurt. They were all hurt. That was a bad Lakers team. You know it, and I know it. Dallas took advantage of what they were not.
Skip, are you saying a back-to-back champ with the finals MVP in both of those wins was a bad team? So how the hell did they make it to the playoffs?
You know what? I'm not going to go there. You're trying to change the subject off the point at hand, which is that
you brought LeBron
Kevin Durant
into it.
is the best player on the planet. Okay, Kevin Durant is better than LeBron James. You know it, and I know it. I'm saying it to you. I'm trying to show you where all your angst is coming from here. You're saying, oh my God, I lost the Jordan debate. Now I'm going to lose the LeBron KD debate. And you're saying, wait a second, what about Dirk?
No.
What about Randy Moss? It's not about Dirk or Randy Moss.
Skip, that's what he said. He said 80% of Kevin Durant is better than Dirk Nowitzki at his prime. That was the context. You brought LeBron in it. But since you took it there, I'm going to go there. Who has more regular season MVPs? Who has more finals MVPs? Who has more all-NBA first teams? Who have more all-star appearances? Who has scored more points through the same time frame?
Who is the better scorer, Kevin Durant or LeBron James? That is the question at hand.
LeBron James averages more points than Kevin Durant. Ta-da! LeBron James averages more points than Kevin Durant. He shoots a higher percentage than Kevin Durant. Okay, next question.
All right, next question. Who took over 2 back-to-back Game 3s in successive finals in the King's Palace in Cleveland, Ohio? Who was that guy? Number 35 for the Golden State Warriors.
I'm going to pull one of your, redirect. What did LeBron James do? So can I interest you in 42, 13, and 9 in a losing call? Because that's what we do. You know, when you play great and you lose, it's not your fault. That's what we did for Jordan. Jordan lose a game, play great, it's not his fault. So LeBron James in Game 3, that first time in Cleveland, what was his number, Skip? So we can't put that on him. Next.
Who came to your restaurant after the game? Because you only serve losers at your restaurant.
See what
LeBron
you did, Skip?
came.
Skip.
He was knocking on the door. Can I come in?
What metric, Skip? My guy averages more points, more rebounds, more assists. than your guy. My guy has more first-team All-NBA than your guy. My guy has more All-Star appearances than your guy. More All-Star MVPs than your guy. More defensive first teams. Your guy's never made a defensive first team. Or have he made a second team? So I'm just asking, what are you using to say Kevin Durant is better than LeBron, other than being 7 foot tall?
As you always tell me about Jordan, it's not about history, it's about now. What's happening
your
right
guy's
now?
Not playing.
I realize Kevin didn't
your
play
guy's
last
not playing.
year.
Okay, well, how can you say he's better? He's not even playing.
He will play. He'll be back. He'll be back next year, and he'll be back in all his glory. And he is the most gifted scorer ever. You know it, and I know it. That's the point of this. And once again, you have lost another one. LeBron loses to Jordan. LeBron loses to KD.
So hold on. The last time I remember, if my history is correct on this, was 1875. I think George Armstrong Custer said, "I'll be back." He went up there to a little bighorn. They hadn't seen him since.
I thought MacArthur said he'd be back, but that I may be getting history confused. I don't.
No, that was the Terminator also said that. But if I'm not mistaken, it was something to that effect, though, Skip Bayless. You need to stop. Kevin Durant is great, but LeBron James is the GOAT.
No mercy.
Pro Football Focus has dubbed the Saints offense as perfectly inefficient with Drew Brees under center. His average depth of target has steadily declined the last 8 years, while his passing grade has risen overall. And over the past 3 years, Brees has the best passer rating out of any quarterback, just ahead of new division rival Tom Brady. And according to Fox Bet, Brady is projected to have more passing yards than Brees in 2020. So Shannon, 40 is apparently the new 30. So which 40-plus quarterback do you expect to have a better season?
You see how we've changed this narrative? Now, once upon a time, Tom Brady only cared about winning. Tom Brady only cared about winning because Peyton Manning was putting circles around him. But Peyton wasn't winning championships. Tom was winning championships. And I heard every pundit across every platform, all Tom Brady cares about is winning. All his fans in New England, Peyton can throw for 400 yards. Tommy's going to hold the trophy. In order to make Tommy look good, now Tommy doesn't go to because he can't be judged by championship. Well, what about the numbers that he put up? He put up better numbers than Drew Brees. Oh, no. I'm not going to let y'all change that, Skip Bayless. Oh, no. Tom Brady is going to always be judged on championships. I'm not going to let you change the scenery. A penguin is a penguin no matter where he is. I don't know where he's from, where he might be at, Antarctica or somewhere, wherever they're from, Skip Bayless. You can put him in the Brooklyn Zoo. You can put him in the San Diego Zoo. It's still a penguin. That's still Tom Brady, and he still should be judged by championship. Now, he might have better numbers than Drew Brees, but Drew Brees going to win the division, and isn't that all that matters? Who wins more? Who goes further? I got the New Orleans Saints. Stop trying to change the narrative so Tom Brady, but look at the numbers that a 43-year-old put up. Did he win the championship? That's all I care about. At the end of the day, that's all I'm judging Tom Brady on. Not how well he played, not how many touchdowns he threw for, not how many passing yards. Did he win Super Bowl 55? We're not changing the narrative now just because Tom Brady's in a new location. He's still Tom Brady, and Skip Bayless told me just the other day, he's still the GOAT. So GOAT should do GOATish things and not concern themselves with stats and concern themselves with Lombardis.
Did you just compare Tom Brady to a penguin?
Yeah.
A penguin?
Skip Bayless.
You
see what you're trying to do?
Blatant blasphemy.
Skip, I'm saying no matter where he's located, Skip, I'm saying just because he might not be where his home is, you take him out of his natural habitat, put him in the Brooklyn Zoo, put him in the Columbus Zoo or the San Diego Zoo, it's still a penguin. Take Tom Brady out of New England, he's still Tom Brady. Although that's no longer his natural habitat where he spent 20 years, he's going to Tampa. He shouldn't change. You shouldn't be basing it on that. When are we ever concerned with stats? We never ask who's going to have better stats. Tom Brady or Pat Mahomes? Tom Brady or Drew Brees prior to Tom Brady going to Tampa? Because now he doesn't have that luxury of having Coach Belichick and that system in place. We got to give something on Tom Brady can hang his hat on. Yards. No, I won't allow it to happen. Not on my watch.
So why not compare Tom Brady to the king of the jungle, to a lion? You can take the lion out of Africa. You can put him in Foxborough. You can put him in Tampa. You can put him on this lion on the beach in Tampa.
He's still a lion.
And
okay, so he's still a lion.
He won't lie on the beach. He'll just go right out. He'll just trot right over to the stadium and devour more competition. So let me put this narrative right back on track in your wheelhouse. Tom Brady will have a better statistical season than Drew Brees, and Tom Brady's football team will win the division over Drew Brees' football team and will win the conference and get to the first ever home Super Bowl played by a home team. How's that for narrative? Do you like it? Can you digest it?
I like it.
Can you handle it?
Yeah.
Does it make more sense to you? Okay.
Yeah, hold on, Skip. No, I got to get this down, okay? So we got 5 cases on the division. Now we got another 5 cases on them winning the conference. So that's 10 total cases that you bet on Tom Brady. 10.
Okay, I did not bet you on the conference. I did bet you on the division, but I also bet you that Tampa's record will be better than New England's record, and we got 10 cases on that. So we're 10 there, we got 5 on the division. Yeah, we don't have any on the conference because what are they? They're probably the 4th seeded, the 4th best odds to win the conference, somewhere in that ballpark. So I need 4-1 odds. So if you want to bet 5 cases on the conference, then I win 20 cases if I win that bet, right? I'm good with that.
So no, but you ain't giving me no odds with the Patriots. I mean, we down to bare bones. We got nothing in the cupboards. And you expected me to whip up this 7-course meal when I ain't got nothing in my cupboards. You ain't giving me no odds.
You started it. You were the one who suggested the bet in the first place because you were so sure way back before free agency even started that New England was going to be better than Tampa, right? As soon as Tom Brady signed with Tampa, the first thing you said.
I thought that Bill Belichick would make a play for at least Andy Dalton or Cam Newton. I ain't know you going to ride shotgun all the way with Steeds.
Okay, well, that's on you. That's your fault. So we're going to talk about Cam Newton and Bill Belichick a little later in the show. But right now, back to Drew Brees. These numbers were startling to me because it's clear to me that Drew Brees has declined more at age 41 than Tom Brady has at almost age 43. Because what was happening last year was he just has no mustard on the deep ball at all. He just can't throw the deep ball because in deep passing percentage last year, Drew Brees ranked 35th. In air distance, he was 27th, how far he's throwing passes. In air distance completion percentage, he was 30th. So it's just showing you no deep ball, no deep ball, no deep ball. Yet he did wind up 8th in the league in yards passing per game, which is pretty decent. How is that?
Yeah.
He's all-time dinking and dunking. Tom Brady's still got a big arm. That will be showcased more with this offense and these weapons, Bruce Arians, obviously Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, all the others, in Tampa than it was in New England, where he had the worst receiving core in football. So to me, I saw no diminishing of arm strength on Brady's part last year in New England, and I think you'll see none this year in Tampa. But Drew Brees is just all-time dinking and dunking, and it still works pretty well until they ran into the Vikings in a home wild card game. Home game in that Superdome, arguably the hardest place to win at in pro football, and Drew Brees was pretty lousy in that game. He had a big late interception. He lost a sack fumble. He had a QBR of only 47 in that game, threw for only 208 yards in that game, and they finally lost to Kirk Cousins and the Vikings in overtime, 26-20. So are you sure that Drew Brees isn't starting to hit the wall, or has he already hit the wall? Sean Payton blurted out a month or so ago, it's Drew's last season. I think that was news to Drew, but I think Sean Payton is ready to segue on to either Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston, whoever the next quarterback of the Saints will be.
Skip, But when you look at it, Skip, you talk about Tom Brady. Tom Brady hadn't been bombs away since Randy Moss. Now, who's more? He's the king of the screen, swing pass to the back out of the backfield, and the shallow cross option route to Julian Edelman. So when was Tom Brady bombs away like Jameis was in Tampa or like Pat Mahomes in New England? When was the last time we saw Tom Brady light the sky up throwing bombs?
Wait a second. In deep passing numbers, several of the websites, they have different sort of analytics for it, different formulas, but I saw one the other day that ranked him 4th last year in deep throws, in percentage of completion of deep throws. I think one had him tied for 1st in tight window deep throws of 20-plus yards last year.
But he's 27th in yards per attempt and 27th in completion percentage. So something's not computing here. You know, the computer, I'm trying to... Hold on, let me get my calculator out.
Yeah.
Something ain't adding up. 27th in completion percentage, 27th in yards per attempt. So, I mean, what that means, Skip? So how you bombs away if you 27th in yards per attempt? How are you bombed?
Wait, did he have Antonio Brown last year? Well, he did for a minute. Did he have Josh Gordon? Well, he did for about 3 minutes. Did he have Julian Edelman last year? Well,
so
he needed surgery on his shoulder. He had cracked ribs. He had a bum knee, and he led the league in drop passes.
Oh, my goodness, Skip. What shade did you paint your house of excuse with? I mean, that's a beautiful teal shade of excuse that you just used for Tom Brady. Just painting the wall. Jenny, you see that? He painted the wall teal excuse. And then he got a bright, a nice nude color up in his room of excuse. He had a bum shoulder. He had a bum knee. He didn't have this. Skip Bayless. In all my years, you never made excuses for anybody like you make for the GOAT. What kind of GOAT you got to make excuses for? Now, your guy, when Michael Jordan had Phil Jackson, hold on, wait a minute, Skip, hold on. Michael Jordan had Phil Jackson for the better part of his career, and Magic had Pat Riley, and some of the greats had Coach Auerbach and Greg Popovich. You don't make concessions like that for LeBron about what he didn't. All you do is say he choked. Now Tom Brady couldn't beat Ryan Tannehill in a playoff, and you make excuses. The fact of the matter is Drew Brees has never been bombs away. This has always been Drew Brees. Now, he would throw it deep when he had Ted Ginn Jr., but Ted was hurt for the better part of the season. It's unbelievable to me, Skip, like a lot of people. How can someone not cover Mike Thomas when they know he's not going to run anything over 15 yards? Well, Sean Payton has done a great job of diagramming, putting Drew Brees in situation, and Drew Brees is has the highest completion percentage in NFL history. So it worked for them. Just like Tom Brady swinging the ball to the back out of the backfield and hitting Julian Edelman on shallow crosses and option route. It worked for him. And before that, it was Wes Welker. So stop making excuses. Your guy might have better numbers, but your guy won't go further than Drew Brees.
He will. So just for the record, just to put this in perspective, once upon a time, Drew Brees could really throw it long. You have to be able to throw it long to have the yardage total that he has. He's thrown for 77,416 yards. That's by far the most of any quarterback in NFL history. That's actually 2,845 yards more than Tom Brady, who is second on that list. You have to be able to throw deep, to have the touchdown passes. Yeah, well, maybe, because Drew Brees leads all time in touchdown passes, although he's only 6 ahead of the GOAT. And I'm thinking the GOAT might just catch and pass Drew Brees this year now that the GOAT's in Tampa.
Didn't your guy come in 2000? Drew came in 2001. So your guy's a year older. But that's not here nor there. Skip, you make it seem like...
time out. I'll...
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I'm saying...
Drew Brees has played only 275 games to Tom's 285. So I'm going to give you that. Drew Brees has been extraordinary throwing deep balls.
Skip, but to put it in baseball terms, Drew Brees has never been Roger Clemens. He's always been Greg Maddux. You make it seem like he had like he had Mahomes or Brett Favre arm when he was in San Diego. That was never his game. So obviously he threw the ball deep well enough to accumulate all those touchdown passes, all those passing yards. So It wasn't all swing passes and check down, Skip.
No mercy.
Mike Sando of The Athletic ranked each NFL franchise's most dominant single-season team since 1970, using a formula of winning percentage and points per game, among other factors. The 1985 Bears topped the list. Second was the 84 Niners, followed by the 91 Redskins. So, Shannon, do you agree that the 85 Bears were the best of all time?
No, I don't, Skip. And I talked to Richard Dent, who's a good friend of mine. We went in the Hall of Fame together. He went to Tennessee State. Obviously, I went to Savannah State and Skip, so we joke a lot. I said, man, y'all the most hyped Super Bowl team in the history of the world. I said, y'all was one-sided dominant. You make it seem like y'all had like 17 Hall of Famers on the offensive side of football. Y'all really only had one. That's Walter. Defense was dominant. But for me, Skip, and most of these teams, a lot of these teams I remember. I remember the Washington team, and I remember the 84 Niners. But, Skip, I went with the 75 Steelers. They had 10 Hall of Famers. I don't think we'll ever see that again. They outscored their opponents by 15 points a game. The defense averaged giving up 11.6 points a game. And, Skip, that's unbelievable. And you were around, and you know what they used to do. They used to beat the brakes off your Cowboys, and so you should give them even more credit than that because they kept the Cowboys from winning a couple of Super Bowls, didn't they, Skip? I know you don't like the Steelers because they did a number on your Cowboys for the longest time, kept them from... Man, just imagine how many Super Bowls the Cowboys would have won if there were no Steelers. Y'all probably have another 3 or 4, Skip. But unfortunately, there was the Steelers, and you didn't get it. Skip, I got some issues. You know your boy on this thing a couple of times. You know your boy. You know the Broncos 98 team, we number 9, of course, because we could do it. You know, we could score points. Defense put you in a hole, then our defense come get you. Yeah, and my Ravens. Now, see, I got a problem with this. This is the biggest problem. Skip, you're like, okay, fine. You want to say the 85 Bears, I don't believe it. I like the 75 Steelers. You want to go 84 Niners or the 83 or Washington team. Okay, I get all that. But, Skip, the Ravens and what we possessed on defense, I say we because I was on that team even though I didn't play defense, Skip. That defense had 4 shutouts. They had 8 games in which they allowed 7 points or less. They allowed 60 yards a game rushing, which is the best since the merger. They averaged giving up 10.3 points a game. To put this in context, if you take the regular season 16 games and you take the 4 playoff games in which they played, they didn't give up 190 points. They gave up 1 offensive touchdown in 4 playoff games, Skip. So to put this in perspective, in 4 playoff games, Skip, they gave up 23 points. 23. So that's 5.3 points a game in 4 games in the playoffs. I don't know how you get better than that, Skip. They did not allow, in 16 games, they didn't allow the team to gain 1,000 rush yards. They didn't allow 3,000 total pass yards. 4 shutouts, 8 games, 7 points or fewer. We got to be high. And as a matter of fact, Skip, our defense was better than the Bears statistically. Do you know that, Skip? Allowed fewer points, fewer yards, rush yards than the 85 Bears. We got to be higher than that. Recount. We want to recount. Recount. I'm going to take it to the Supreme Court. If y'all don't recount this thing, I'm going to the Supreme Court like in 2000.
Okay. Let me go back to the start, to the 85 Bears.
Okay.
I covered a lot of the 85 Bears games. I think I know them very well. I worked in Chicago, so in hindsight, I really got to know them very well. I must admit, before I looked hard into this last night, I agreed with your premise that they were all defense. It was all-time great because nobody had ever seen anything like it. It was the equivalent of the wishbone offense in college football, especially at Oklahoma, where nobody had seen it and couldn't stop it. It took 4 or 5 years before people started to figure out how to mirror the wishbone and contain it. In this case, it's that what's called the Bear defense, coached by the late, great Buddy Ryan, and nobody had ever seen anything quite like the 46, how they attacked you. They came from everywhere. They mauled the quarterback. And it was a sight to behold because it was awe-striking in you as a fan and in the opposing quarterback's eyes. So I got that. And I'll get to your 2000 Ravens defense in a moment. But as I looked harder at the Bears offense, I thought it was mediocre at best. It was a little better than mediocre. They did have 4 Pro Bowlers that year. Jim McMahon, the quarterback, made the Pro Bowl, and I'm not sure how because he had 15 touchdowns to 11 interceptions. But whatever, he did make it. And I thought Walter was nearing the end of the line that year because in the playoffs, Walter faded out and was kind of a non-factor. But during the year, he had 1,551 yards. That's huge. That's great. He had a Walter Payton regular season, so I'm going to give you that.
Correct.
And they had 2 offensive linemen, Jim O'Covert and Hilgenberg, who made the Pro Bowl. So they could run the football like crazy. So it wasn't just all defense. But let me go first to your point about the Ravens. Just on eye test, I don't know why. I covered a bunch of I covered the game at Tennessee that year.
Tennessee.
Man. It was the most it was the most physical football game I've ever watched. And I was right there. I was in the press box. And to my eye test, thanks to Ray Lewis, you didn't have Ed Reed yet, but it felt as dominating as the Bears. But I do think the Bears might have had a slightly better offense than you guys did. And that's no disrespect to you, but to your quarterback. You know, it's Trent Dilfer, it's Tony Banks, whatever was going on. It was back and forth, and it ended up Trent Dilfer, obviously, to the Super Bowl.
Correct.
But I still think the Bears' offense, because of Walter, might have been slightly better than yours. So now I'm back to your premise that you like the 75 Steelers as your best team ever.
Yeah.
To me, this is picking nits here. It's 6 of one, half dozen the other. I'll take any of those Steelers teams from 75, 76, 77, or 78. I'll go 78.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's 6 of one, half dozen the other. But Shannon, I've already told you that I covered the 2 Super Bowls, both of them. I was there for Super Bowl 10, Dallas-Pittsburgh, and then Super Bowl, and that's the 75, or Super Bowl 13, which was 78 Steelers against my Cowboys. Shannon, the 78 Steelers, they had 10 Pro Bowlers and 10 Hall of Famers. I told you the collection of talent on the field that day at the Orange Bowl in Miami, I'd never seen anything like it before or since. It's just Hall of Famers are everywhere. And the Steelers Hall of Famers weren't heavy on defense or heavy on offense. It was 5 Hall of Famers and 5 Hall of Famers offense, defense. What?
Yep.
That's impossibly great. That's firepower on both sides of the ball that you can't match up with it. And by the way, Dwight White was another pass rusher. No, you'll never see it. Dwight White made 2 Pro Bowls and didn't make the Pro Bowl that year. So that could have been an 11th one. So I'm with you. I'll take the Steelers dynastic team, whichever one you want, was the greatest team I ever saw, with our man Terry Bradshaw at the helm, because remember, Terry Bradshaw was the MVP in 1978 in the season. So he was having a great year, and they were having a greater year because they dominated and then got to the Super Bowl. And that brings me to my final point. That Cowboy team, again, the one that they ranked, Mike Sando chose, thanks to his formula, was the 77 team that crushed your Broncos in the Super Bowl. I actually preferred the next year's team, the 78 Cowboys, who lost barely to the greatest team ever, the Steelers. It was 35-31 because my team had 9 Pro Bowl players on it, and my team had 6 Hall of Famers that should have been 7 because Drew Pearson, it's just a sad joke that he never got in the Hall of Fame. He's a Hall of Famer. He made most of the greatest catches in Cowboy history were made by Drew Pearson. You want to talk about all-time clutch? So I'm going to give them 7 Hall of Famers, and that brings me to they were ranked 10th on that list, and your team in 98 in Denver was ranked above them at 9?
Yeah,
your team was not better than the 77-78 Cowboys. You were not better. You had only 4 Hall of Famers, including yourself, but that Dallas team was more loaded than your Denver team. It just was. That team would have beaten the brakes off your Denver team, even with John Elway. I had Roger Staubach, and you had TD, Terrell Davis. I had Tony Dorsett. Tony Dorsett was better than Terrell Davis. Tony Dorsett was lightning, who could also run between the tackles. Tony Dorsett was more of a home run hitter than Terrell Davis was. I'll take my team on offense and doomsday defense over your team. Thank you very much.
Well, hey, all I know is that we're ranked in the front of them, Skip. So I'm sorry. Again, me being in front of you. I don't know what you want me to tell you about that, Skip. The Broncos, number 9, baby.
You know what?
I think we should have been higher.
Yeah, what I'm hearing in your voice, that you know that's wrong. You know it's completely bogus. No. And you're accepting it just because my team's one notch below yours. But I think I'm hearing in your voice, straight from your heart, you know that the 78 Cowboys were better than the 98 Broncos.
Well, Skip, for me, I think the 97 Broncos were better because we had Zim, who's also in the Hall of Fame, playing left tackle. We had T-Bone, Tony Jones, that was the right tackle. So I thought we were more dominant. Even though we had better numbers than 98, I thought collection of talent, I thought we were better in 97. And I can see, we were just unstoppable. We had Bubby Brister come in for John for like 5 games, Skip, and we averaged more points with Bubby than we did with John. So I get it, Skip, but it's hard because when you look at some of the people on this list, you look at some of the teams, you look at, let's just say for the Chiefs, Skip, not to get too far, they took the team that won the Super Bowl as opposed than the team that Pat Mahomes was the MVP on. And I'm like, I don't know about that one, Skip. And I get it, they won the Super Bowl, but what Pat Mahomes did his second year, Skip, that was phenomenal. But I agree with you. Any of the 70 Steelers teams could easily be number 1. Any of them, Skip, because they would, like you said, when you got a quarterback that's in the Hall of Fame, 2 receivers, a running back, and the receiver, and then the defense, you got 2 linebackers, a corner, a D, joke, and you talking about some of the Pantheon greats, Skip. We're not just talking about just Hall of Famers. We're talking about some of the best at the position. Nah, you can't beat that one. Shannon, I ain't taking nobody over them, Skip. I'm sorry.
Shannon, to your point about the 75 Steelers, again, I was at that Super Bowl, also at the Orange Bowl, and I remember it as the Golden Richards game because Mel Blount, the great Mel Blount, as physical a corner as ever played, Mel Blount broke the ribs of little Golden Richards. He broke his ribs in that game.
Skip, Mel grew up in Lyons, Georgia. I grew up in Glenville. We're about 30 miles apart from each other, so I know Mel very well. Skip, he made them change the rules. He was the reason why they changed the rules about the 5 yards. Plus, he was the first really big, true corner, Skip. Mel's 6'4", and if you've ever been around him, Skip, you always see him in a cowboy hat and boots. But he's still a very large man. Yep. Can you imagine? And Defensive Player of the Year. They were littered with Defensive Player of the Year. They went like 3 of the last 4 years, Skip, where Joe Green won it, Mel Blount won it, and Jack Lambert won it. So that's what you were up against, Skip, in the 70s.
No mercy.
Time for a trending story of the day, sponsored by Kia's tough and ready lineup of all-wheel drive SUVs. Give it everything. So fellow NBA superstar and longtime friend of LeBron, Carmelo Anthony, got to weigh in on the GOAT debate. To most people's surprise, Melo said that Jordan is the GOAT and followed it up by saying, quote, "We all know that and we all agree to that." He added that LeBron is still great and also should be appreciated. So Shannon, is Melo out of bounds saying Jordan is the GOAT over one of his closest friends? These two are really tight. What do you got?
No, they are very tight. No, he's not out of bounds. He's entitled to his opinion, and I think that's the thing that you like about friends, is that I want friends to tell me what I want to hear, not what I need to know. I mean, what I need to know, not what I want to hear. And I think this is a situation, Skip, look, it's hard, and I commend Melo for this, Skip. It's hard for you to look objectively because he just looks at LeBron, that's my boy, that's my friend. Skip, for me, when people were telling me, man, your brother just as good as Jerry Rice, Skip, I couldn't see it. That's my brother. He just like, I can't look at you like that. You my brother. Even though he's putting up numbers that are better than Jerry, Skip, I can't see that. And I think sometimes as you get so close to the situation, You can't look at LeBron as the GOAT. Man, that's just my point. We came in together. We cool. We vacation. Our families vacation together. So you don't, but for him to feel that way, LeBron shouldn't be mad. Now, if one of my boys, one of my good friends, like, man, yeah, Tony was better than you, Gronk better than you, I'm like, y'all think so? Like, all right, don't come to my house again. No, I'm just kidding. But, no, let Melo have his opinion. And so I don't have Skip, I really don't. I don't have a problem with Melo feeling that Jordan is the GOAT. He's entitled to his opinion. He's played the game. And based on what he sees and how Jordan played and playing against LeBron, that's the way he feels. And so I don't have a problem with it. I disagree. Let me make that. Let me get that on the record, because I don't want you to say, well, look, you didn't refute Melo. I vehemently disagree. I strenuously disagree with Melo. Okay, that's on the record.
Okay, but didn't you start off your comments by saying you need your friends, especially your best friend, to tell you what you need to hear, which is that Jordan was better. Jordan's the GOAT, right? Yeah. So you're telling me that LeBron needed to hear from Carmelo, Jordan's the GOAT, right?
No, I don't want my friend just to go along just because I'm his boy, just agree with everything. If that's the way you feel, that's the way you feel. Skip, but like I said, it's hard to when you become close to someone, Skip, it's hard to see them outside of that friendship as being, like, great. I mean, the GOAT, the greatest of all time. Like, man, my best friend is the greatest of all time. Skip, it's hard to rationalize that. It's hard for me to put it into words, but like I said, I can just equate to me having a brother. And people say, man, your brother is good, if not better than Jerry Rice, but I couldn't see that because, man, I grew up with him. I slept right in the bed. I slept in the bed with that guy. How can he be the GOAT? I can't have a brother that's the GOAT, can I? And so I think that's what Melo is dealing with.
Shannon Sharpe, LeBron James is not going to love this. Think about this. LeBron's maybe best friend in the whole world, a guy who came into the NBA in the same draft as he was. I think it could be Melo, but who knows? That's subjective. But he's one of his best friends. He flat out declared that Michael Jordan is the GOAT. And the way he said it left no doubt, because he said, MJ is the GOAT. He's the greatest ever. We all know that, and we all agree to that. We do?
Who is we?
My partner on Undisputed does not agree.
I sure don't.
I'm like, really? Really, Carmelo? Well, thank you for saying that, because you just closed the door right in your best friend's face. And I got to tell you, this is exactly the kind of betrayal that Michael Jordan himself would not abide. See Charles Barkley. Remember when Charles dared to, on TNT, criticize Michael's team building in Charlotte? That bridge got burned to the ground. Over. Shut out. Will not speak to you. Will not take your calls anymore. That's Jordan. LeBron not built like that, so I don't think it's going to burn the bridge. I think it will hurt him more than it will offend him. LeBron's too nice of a guy. He's more of a lover than a fighter. He's not going to shut off Carmelo over this, but I think he's going to be wounded over it because Carmelo was so adamant about it, like there's not even any gray area. It's this. Then Carmelo tried to give himself Carmelo tried to give himself an escape hatch. He tried to backtrack it a little bit, put an asterisk on it by saying, we can say MJ was very great, but why can't we say LeBron is very great, Kobe is very great? We're not allowed to say those things today because it's always this or that. And that's just our society. Yeah. You have to choose one. Well, Carmelo, you just did choose. You didn't start off saying MJ was great, but LeBron's great and Kobe's great. You didn't say that. You just flat out, boom, laid it right on the table. We all know and we all agree that Jordan's the GOAT. Well, we do. That's just painfully, blatantly obvious to me. I've been trying to tell you that for 4 years.
Could I ask you a question? So is this why Michael Jordan, MJ, tried to paint Scottie Pippen in a negative light? Because you remember, Scottie said that LeBron was better than MJ? You remember that, Skip? You remember that quote? Is that why MJ tried to paint Scottie in a negative light? Because the guy that played next to MJ for all those years, won those titles, said LeBron was a better player. So is that why Michael Jordan did that? So clearly, everybody is not in the camp. Oh, so I like that. Oh, Scottie Pippen say, oh, GOAT James.
Yeah, but that's out of jealousy and bitterness because he was Robin and he was a distant Robin. And he knew it.
Skip.
And all the shine went on 23, and over there in the shadows was Pip.
Skip, let's be all the way 100. You don't think Melo might be a little jealous of LeBron? With all those MVPs, with all those first-team All-NBAs, with all those finals appearances, we don't even mention Carmelo. We don't even mention Carmelo in the same breath as LeBron. You take 7 breaths before you even mention Carmelo. But you don't think there's no jealousy in that, right? You see how you do that, Skip? If anybody says anything that does not
Time out.
Go ahead.
Time out. You know what? That's a good point. You could be right about that. There may be some jealousy underlying this, motivating this.
It's not.
If that's the truth, this bridge is on fire then between Melo and his best friend, LeBron James. There's going to be damage done to this relationship.
No, it's not. I'm just doing. See, the problem that I have, Skip, is that anybody that does not subscribe to the fact that Michael Jordan is the greatest is out of jealousy. Why can't I have an honest opinion? Why can't someone have an opinion? That just be their opinion and it be no bias involved. Carmelo can sincerely feel that Michael Jordan is the best player and there is no jealousy. I said that to just to throw that out there for you. I do not believe Carmelo is jealous of LeBron. I believe they are good friends, and good friends, true friends, want what's best, even if that's not in your best interest. So I believe Carmelo is happy that everything LeBron has accomplished. But you always talk about Scottie Pippen was jealous. Now, why can't he be objective?
He was just jealous. I just know because I covered the team. I was there. He dripped jealousy and bitterness. So did Horace Grant. We'll talk about all that later. We hope to have Horace on the show maybe next week. But the point is that you're telling me it was up to a best friend to tell LeBron the truth. And he told him the truth, which is it's not even close. These quotes are, it's over. Like everybody knows, everybody accepts that Jordan's the GOAT. And again, it is true, Shannon. We've been through this for 6 weeks on this show. The mountain of greats who have said Jordan's the GOAT just dwarfs your tiny little hill that you're on over here by yourself. You're the last man standing on this tiny little hill saying, no, it's LeBron. It's not LeBron. It's over. And even his best friend said it's way over. He didn't even give you any wiggle room here. Everybody knows it. It's over, LeBron. So he told his best friend the truth, and he told you the truth.
Skip, it's like this. If I grow up watching somebody, I admire them, I had all their shoes, and all of a sudden I come up with a guy and I become friends with a guy that I consider to be the greatest. Skip, when you grow up admiring somebody, you're only going to see them in that light. And so that's not going to be taken away no matter how close, no matter how good a friend you are, no matter how great someone is, the person that you admire is always going to be in that light to you. So that's all I'm saying. I believe Carmelo believes that Michael Jordan is the GOAT. I don't have a problem with that. It doesn't sway me. I mean, Carmelo might like ribs. I like fried chicken myself. That don't mean his dish is better than mine. It's just a matter of what you like. But I got GOAT James.
Well,
GOAT.
I hate ribs, and I don't like fried chicken either, so I'm out. I just love Michael Jordan, and I love what Carmelo, I love the way he ended this. He said, most people loved The Last Dance, and then there were people who hated it because a lot of times people hate the actual truth. Shannon Sharpe hates the actual truth because it makes him look wrong about his man, LeBron James.
Hold on, Skip. What Carmelo is saying about the actual truth? Well, maybe if Carmelo if you had passed the ball more, you would have more championships. Maybe if someone drove you to always be in shape, you would have more championships. If you want the truth, Skip, stop that. How do we know what's the truth? We know stuff got edited out that people said about Michael. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Now you're taking shots at Melo. Geez, Shannon. He's going to have some words for you as well. Just be ready for that.
No mercy.
According to a report, Dak Prescott and the Cowboys' lack of a long-term deal stems back to the beginning of last season. After starting off with 3 straight wins to go along with 9 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions, Dak's camp reportedly asked for more money. According to the report, the Jones family was, quote, not only upset at Dak's representation, but they were a little upset with Dak Prescott as well. So, Skip, what does this tell you?
Jenny, it tells me this validates all of my worst fears about where this impasse has been and where it's headed. It's going nowhere slowly, and this was the flashpoint after 3 games, according to Charles Robinson of Yahoo, and I concur. I co-sign on this because it now all makes even better sense to me that Zeke came back from Cabo, Jerry caved in and overpaid him the way he does every one of his superstars, every one of his sons, and at that point, I predicted right here on Undisputed, they're going to sign Dak and get this one done also just ahead of the start of the regular season. I was counting down the days toward that Giants opener for the big bombshell to hit. Dak has been signed for the next 5 years. I thought it would be 2 ways to launch this team into a season in which I thought they could get to the Super Bowl, but it did not happen. Dak had a huge game, albeit against the Giants, on opening day at Jerry World. And right after the game, Jerry said it's imminent that we are going to finish this deal with Dak Prescott. Jerry, what does imminent mean? He was asked. Days he's talking about. So in the next few days, I thought, oh, we're going to have big news on Undisputed. We're going to have the signing of Dak Prescott. No, didn't happen. But they went to Washington. He had another nice game. Big game, another QBR of 94, scale of 0 to 100, and nothing happened. And then here came the lowly Dolphins to Jerry World, another big game by Dak Prescott, QBR of 82, not great, but pretty good, and nothing happened. But it did happen behind the scenes, according to Yahoo, because now I get it. That's when the new agent for Dak Prescott told Jerry Jones, Jerry, guess what? Our asking price just went up. We warned you, Jerry. Dak was betting on himself. We couldn't come to a deal. Now the deal has changed, and we are going to ask for X. Yahoo reports that X was a ridiculous demand on the part of Dak and his agent that really alienated Jerry Jones. Again, Jerry can be a pushover, a softie, a soft touch. Just buddy up to Jerry. Put your arm around him, and he'll overpay you. But the one thing you cannot do to Gerald Wayne Jones Jr., I know this from all the hours I spent with him doing those 3 books on the Cowboys, you cannot tick him off. You can't jerk the rug out from under him in a negotiation at the last second and say, April Fools, now we want this, and this is way out there. Ridiculous amount of money, and Jerry felt burned, according to the report. Jerry was upset with the agent, but also a little upset with the quarterback. You do not make Jerry mad because he's got a short fuse temper that when it blows, it nuclear blows. That's why these two sides are still so dug in and so close, but so far apart. Shannon Sharpe, in the end, Dak did bet on himself for the first 3 games, but I'm going to remind you, my Hall of Fame partner, that you dismissed the first 3 games as garbage opponents. You laughed at the numbers Dak put up in the first 3 games because they meant nothing to you. Well, maybe Jerry was watching Undisputed and thought, gee, maybe I should discount those first 3 games also. From that point on, Dak said, I'll continue to bet on myself. But as he was on the way to the bank, a funny thing happened. that QBR that averaged 90 in the first 3 games averaged only 62 in the last 13. And over those last 13, Pro Football Focus graded Dak's performance as only the 15th best in the whole National Football League. Terrible QBRs against Green Bay and Buffalo. What a debacle on Thanksgiving stage. And then at Chicago, and then at New England, and then at Philly. 38 QBR, missed Tavon Austin with the potential game tire. It wasn't pretty. So Dak bet on himself and quote unquote won, and then he bet on himself and he lost. Did Jerry jerk the rug back out from under the new agent, Todd Frank? No, he stayed right there. Still a great deal on the table, 36 million, 110 million guaranteed. Very fair, making him the highest paid quarterback right here, right now. But there's bad blood. There's bitterness. There's so close, so far distance between these two. And I don't love it because I'm still not sure they're going to get a deal done before the 15th. I think Dak is going to have to play out under the tag or maybe even hold out and try to pull a levy on Jerry. I think it's bitterness times 100 now between the two parties, thanks to what happened after the first 3 garbage games.
Skip, help me understand this. You said Dak had terrible QBRs in Green Bay. You said he had terrible QBRs against, if I'm not mistaken, I wrote this down, New England
Buffalo,
and Philly.
Chicago.
But yet you gave him A's and B's in those games. Why?
I did not. I gave him C's for New England and C at Philadelphia.
No. We can pull the tape. I ain't gonna do that, Skip. We ain't gonna do that. I told Anthony, don't pull the tape. I don't want to see the tape.
All right, pull the tape.
But we know. No. The people at home.
Pull the tape. New England, Philly.
Hold on. The people at home. No, I said Green Bay, New Orleans. There are like 7 games that you gave him passing marks when I did not. Now, all of a sudden, the games that I didn't give him passing marks in that you did, you bring those up and say he didn't play well. I want to know why you didn't say he didn't play well then as opposed to saying it now. Never mind. I'll get back to that. Now, who was Rookie of the Year? Dak and Zeke came in the same year. If you don't mind me asking, who was Rookie of the Year of the entire NFL on offense that year? I said the reason why the Cowboys are successful was because of Zeke. You said, no, you're crazy. The quarterback is more important. The reason why they're winning these games, the reason why they're going to win the division is because of Dak. Now, you saying other. Just trying to figure out why. Interesting. Skip, you know this how it works. I play well, I ask for more money. Just like if I don't play well, you ask me for a pay cut or to cut me. You see, you say, well, if you buddy up to Jerry. But when I said, hold on, you paid all these other guys that buddied up to you, you said that was chicken feed. This is a quarterback. So it really wouldn't have made no difference. The difference is here is that you don't think, Jerry does not think, Steven does not think Dak is worth the money that he's asking for. Basically what they're saying, we've been dating for 4 years. We need to date 1 more year to make it 5 years to see if we're going to finally get married and get hitched. That's what they're saying, Skip. You can dress it up all you want to. They keep leaking this. They put this out there. They're trying to turn the public, mainly Cowboy fans, to make Dak seem greedy, to make Dak seem selfish because he's unwilling to accept what they're offering. What about negotiation? It's just not about what Jerry thinks is fair. It's about negotiating. Jerry puts a price out there. Well, you should be grateful. Skip said, take it, Dak. You were a 4th-round pick. I've outperformed that 4th-round pick. And now I'm unwilling to give you a deal because you made me play this out. You made me get to the final year of this deal. Wentz in golf had extra years left. I had no years left. So it's going to cost you more in order for me to do this deal if you want the deal done. If not, I'm going to wait to the very last minute. I don't believe they're going to get a long-term deal. I could be wrong, but I believe Dak's going to play this year on the franchise tag, and he's not coming into sometime in July.
Okay, back to your analogy. You say Jerry still wants to just date Dak Prescott. No marriage.
Correct.
Time out. Yes, he strapped the tag on him And that means I still want to date. That's only 31.4, I shouldn't say only, it's still a lot of money, 31.4 million just for next year. Yet, still sitting on the table is the biggest wedding ring in pro football right now. 36 million a year. That's almost 5 million more than the tag is sitting there right now on the table. And by the way, Charles Robinson reports on Yahoo that maybe Dak's side right now is starting to push toward, hey, maybe we should take this. It's a pretty good deal on the table right now. We'll figure out in the end how to smooth out the difference between the years. But the money on the table right now is very good money. You were the one who kept giving Dak Fs. You were the one who kept dismissing Dak as no better than mediocre. So you should be the one right now who should say, Jerry Jones is out of his mind to be offering $36 million a year for 5 years plus 110 guaranteed million for a quarterback you don't like. You haven't ever liked him. So what? That's a wedding ring. It's sitting on the table right now. All Dak needs to say is, I do. I do. Sign the dotted line, and he can put the ring on.
This is what Dak Prescott be willing to do. He said, give me a Kirk Cousins deal. Kirk Cousins got 3 years, fully guaranteed at $84 million. Minnesota just gave him an additional 2 years, guaranteed at 66. So that's 5 years for 150, fully guaranteed. Dak Prescott said, Jerry Jones, put that on the table and you got a deal. 150 fully guaranteed with $200 million over 7 years, and you got a deal. How about that, Skip?
Well, now you're talking about Patrick Mahomes. Are you saying Dak's better than Patrick Mahomes?
No. I didn't say no
what you just
Mahomes.
said.
I said first Cousins. No, I said first Cousins got from Minnesota 3 years, $84 million fully guaranteed.
Okay.
They just gave him an additional 2 years at 66.
Okay, but again, if that's what you're talking about right now, with Dak, that's the deal you just described is less than the deal that's on the table right now from Jerry Jones.
Skip,
it is. Do the math.
Listen to what I'm saying, Skip. You said 110 guaranteed. I'm saying 150 fully guaranteed. How is that the same? Since when is 110 more than 150?
The math doesn't work.
Kirk Cousins. Skip, what you mean the math doesn't work?
Okay, so what are you saying? For 5 years, guaranteed 150? So what's that, 30 million a year? Is that what you're saying?
Fully, no, ain't no guarantee. Skip, stop parsing my words. I said fully, capital F, U-L-L-Y, fully guaranteed.
Okay, but you're saying the average annual will be $30 million?
Yes, Dak
right?
Oh, for fully guaranteed.
Okay, done.
Yeah, for fully guaranteed.
We say yes. I say yes. Yes, done.
There's no way.
Thank you.
Skip.
Signed today.
I'm trying to figure.
Say I do.
How you look? Skip. Think about this. Jerry Jones doesn't want to go up on guaranteed money. Now you're willing to tell me he's going to fully guarantee $40 million? Exactly. That's my point. Thank you.
Wait a second. No, Dak is asking for $40 million a year, and now you're saying he should take $30 million a year for 5 years.
Skip.
Right?
Skip, listen to what I'm saying.
Okay,
Skip,
done. Thank you.
Skip,
over.
Skip, listen. Skip, you know the contracts are not worth the paper they're reading on. You can say $200 million. How much money is Dak going to get regardless of the weather?
All right. Okay, $30 million a year guaranteed for 5 years. Done. Great deal. That's a great deal for Jerry Jones.
See? You see what Skip, hey, people at home, you see what Skip Bayless keep doing? He said guaranteed. He has yet to say fully guaranteed, which means the contract cannot be broken. That's the difference. Skip Bayless think he's slick. He ain't slick. Can't be slick to a can of oil, Skip Bayless. That's me.
No mercy.
On the Athletics list of best teams from each NFL franchise since 1970, Patrick Mahomes and the Super Bowl champion Chiefs came in all the way down at 25th overall. This is surprising to me. Shannon, are you surprised how low they are?
Kinda. but not really, Skip. As I mentioned, alluded to a little earlier, Skip, I thought the 18 team was more dominant. Now, if you look at the 19, Skip, Pat Mahomes missed 2 games. He missed all but about 3/4 of one game against the Broncos. They were behind 6 games, and the article mentions the reason why it hurt some of their dominant, Skip, is that they were behind in 6 games. They ended up winning 5 of those games. They lost to one started by Matt Moore. But, Skip, if you go back to the 18 season, Skip, they had the 3rd highest scoring average since the merger behind the 13 Broncos. We know what Peyton Manning did, over 600 points, had 5 receivers with double-digit touchdowns. Manning broke the record, 55 touchdowns, over 5,400 yards. And the 07 Pats, we know what they represented, Skip, because if I'm not mistaken, the article said that Pats team was more dominant than all the other Super Bowl winning teams. So it didn't necessarily mean you had to win a Super Bowl to be dominant or to be on this list, Skip. So I think the 18 team definitely should be higher, but the 19 I can see, Skip, because when you look at it, they were 28th in offense, 28 points a game in offense, 19 in defense, which was +9. But the Mahomes season, the 18, Skip, that 5,050. Skip, I don't know, a guy in his second year doing that was all time. So for me, I guess when you look at it, 25 may be right for the 19 team, but I don't even think the 19 team should have made it. I think the 18 team should have been on this list over the 19 team.
Wait, the team that lost to Tom Brady at home in the AFC Championship game should have been on this list? The team that gave up 3 straight 3rd and 10 conversions to Tom Brady in overtime, that team should have been on this list?
So let me ask you a question. How does the Patriots make the list, the 07 team that lost to a 9-7 team that was a wild card? How they make it? You lost to Eli Manning?
Because...
hold on. Tom Brady, what do we do because? What you mean because?
It's the formula, and you know what we don't have time to go through, but it's a very complex formula. Point differential in the regular season, point differential in the post. All those things go into the formula. And the formula said that the 2019 Chiefs were a little better than the 2018 Chiefs. But the formula also says that the 1969 Chiefs were way better than the 2019 Chiefs. That was the team that went on to win the Super Bowl over the Vikings, who were favored to win, heavily favored to win that Super Bowl. And the Chiefs won it 23-7. But the cutoff for this list was 1970, merger going forward.
Correct.
Obviously, that was AFL time, okay? So again, the 69 Chiefs were disqualified from being on a list that the formula said they might have been a top 15 team on this list, while 2019 Chiefs are all the way down at 25. And what perplexes me about any of this, no matter whether the semantics are 18 or 19, all I know is the Hall of Famer keeps telling me, my homeboy is it. We've never seen anything like my homeboy. And he's the most transcendent thrower of the football who ever came down the pike. And I'm saying, really? Well, last year, Pro Football Focus ranked Mahomes' season, 14 games out of 16. He ranked 6th in the league. Not bad, but not transcendent. And that Chiefs defense last year was ranked by Pro Football Focus 25th best in the league. Not really very good. And then I love this line from the capsule about the 2019 Chiefs ranking 25th. It said, the 2019 Chiefs were an impressive 5-1 in games they trailed by at least 10 points. Of course, the most dominant teams generally shouldn't be trailing by double digits in roughly 1/3 of the games on their schedule. True, they shouldn't be, but they were. And in the playoffs, they fell behind the visiting Houston Texans 24-0. That should have been 28-0 if Bill O'Brien hadn't taken the little chip shot field goal on 4th and 1 at the 13 when he had the Chiefs on the ropes. They roared back. They won that game because they were clearly a better team than the Houston Texans. But then the Tennessee Titans go right in there to Arrowhead, and they jump up 17-7, and you're thinking, God, the Chiefs don't really look that good. Well, they're not. And they were very lucky to win the Super Bowl because, let me finish, because in the Super Bowl, they trailed by 10 going to the fourth quarter, in part because Mahomes had just thrown a big pick late in the third quarter. And he starts off the fourth quarter with another third down interception. And then on 3rd and 15 from his 35 with 7:13 to go, he lucks into throwing a punt for 44 yards with a rusher in his face. He just sort of no look flings it off to the left flat, and he gets hit as he throws, and it's a punt. And Tyreek has to come back running full speed the wrong way, waving for a fair catch, 44 yards for the completion of the game. And then it took Jimmy G going 3 for 11 in the fourth quarter for a grand total of 36 yards plus a big interception by Jimmy G. And it took Jimmy G missing Emmanuel Sanders on a deep throw with 1:40 left, wide open at the goal line, for us to even be talking about the 2019 Kansas City Chiefs as champions. Their glass was half empty, not half full. And you're right, they weren't really even good enough to be 25th on this list.
And you're making my point. That's why I'm saying the 18 team should have been higher, should have been the team, Skip, because they didn't fall behind by double digits in 6 of those ball games. They were more dominant. The plus was exactly the same. They scored 35 points a game in 18. The defense gave up 26. So it's basically the same in 18 and 19. But they didn't fall behind, and I thought they were more dominant in 18 than they were in 19.
But the 2018 Patriots were even better than the 2018 Chiefs because they beat them twice. So they should have been way up on this list, right?
Man, stop. Oh, my goodness. Will you stop this? Well, look, stop. After that performance, what they put, they scored 13 points. They scored 13 points in the Super Bowl. 13. Ain't nobody being on no list with scoring 13 points in the Super Bowl. Ain't nobody getting on no list. They're not getting
another game-winning drive by Tom Brady. Thank you for bringing that up.
So now it's about winning. I want you to have that enthusiasm come September. I don't want to hear nothing about no stats. I want you to have that same energy what you got right now. That same energy, Skip Bayless. You think you're slick again.
No mercy.
Sunday on FS1, NASCAR Cup Series racing is live from the legendary Bristol Motor Speedway. Catch all the action from the biggest stars in racing beginning at 3:30 Eastern on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. Should be a good one. Guys, Cam Newton remains a free agent, and former Patriots All-Pro safety Rodney Harrison said he's disappointed New England didn't try harder in recruiting Cam. Harrison believed it would have been a good fit and beneficial to both Cam and the Patriots. So, Shannon, are you surprised Bill Belichick didn't pursue Cam Newton?
I am somewhat. And people, Skip, the thing is, the problem that I have is that people always make excuses about Cam's behavior and Cam's attitude. But Coach Belichick and the Patriots have always done a great job of guys that might have had issues other places have come to New England and been model citizens. Remember, Corey Dillon, Skip, he was labeled a malcontent. Randy Moss, the Raiders, said he quit on them. Chad Ochocinco, for what a host of guys have gone to New England after having issues other places and been a model citizen. Now, I believe Cam has shown some immaturity in the past, but I believe he's grown. Yes, he's made some mistakes. Yes, there's some things I know that he wished he could have done differently or said differently. But to judge a man in year 10, and hold him to the same standard as he was in year 5, I think he's grown. I think that's wrong for you to do that. Let him go someplace. Well, the coronavirus, Skip. At the peak of the coronavirus, free agency happened. Wasn't nobody going anywhere, and guys still got signed. When teams want you, they find a way to get you. They said, well, this might hurt Tua because Miami won't get an opportunity to get a second look at him. Yeah, they looked at him at the combine. Skip, when they want you, they find a way to get you. So I am a little surprised, and I know Rodney very well. Rodney and I worked out when we were both in the league together. And Rodney will speak truth. He is a very objective guy, and he knows what it's like to be in that organization, Skip, and he knows the impact Coach Belichick and those around and that organization have on players that's been looked at in a different light other places. But for whatever reason, I don't know if it's the water, I don't know if it's the surrounding, maybe it's Massachusetts in a hole, Skip. But guys seem to get on the same page as everybody else in that locker room when they're in that locker room. I thought it would have been a great fit. I thought Cam could have learned a lot, but for whatever reason, it did not happen. So, yes, I am a little surprised because I still believe Cam can play at a very high level.
I hear what you just said, and I agree. And I definitely hear what Rodney just said, and I'm with him also. But here's the problem. Cam is too good for Bill Belichick right now. Cam Newton was the MVP of this league not that long ago in 2015. Cam Newton obviously can still play at a fairly to very high level. If he's healthy, very high. That's the last guy that Bill Belichick wants to replace Tom Brady with, because then it's going to disqualify Bill Belichick from being the genius he wants to prove he can be. If he replaces Tom with Cam, well, then people will say, well, yeah, Cam's great. Cam's a former MVP. Cam had moments last year or 2 years ago for sure when he was really good. Way to go, Bill. You got a great one there. You got a pedigree quarterback in this league. You got a guy who won a national championship at Auburn and at Blinn Junior College. You got a winner, Bill. Way to go. Well, that's too easy for Belichick. Right now, he wants to show you that he's going to be coach of the year. He wants to reprove his genius to everybody by doing it with next to nobody. He wants to show you he can replace Tom Brady, 6th-round pick, number 199, with a 4th-round homegrown quarterback named Jared Stidham, a guy who struggled at Auburn in his 2nd year before he was drafted in the 4th round by Belichick. And he wants to say, watch this, NFL world. Watch what I can do with Jared Stidham. Watch me let a mass exodus of players leave my defense, one after another. Kyle Van Noy, Jamie Collins, Danny Shelton, Deron Harmon, Landon Roberts. They're just gone. And his draft was given a C+ by Mel Kiper because, I don't know, none of it impressed me. And in free agency, Bill did next to nothing. So, Shannon, in the end, it's one of two things operating here. It's either supremely arrogant confidence on Belichick's part, genius at work, or it's supremely delusional confidence, disaster waiting to happen. I think it's the latter. I think he's going to get exposed. I think it's going to be Hoodie's folly here this year, where suddenly everybody wakes up and says, wait a second, this is a terrible team, and Stidham's not remotely good enough to step into those winged cleats left up there by Tom Brady. So to me, he didn't want Cam because Cam would disqualify his genius. Cam is too great with too great a track record. So that, Rodney, that, Shannon, is why Belichick did not want Cam Newton.
Well, Skip, you could be right because I believe he gets more credit because I don't believe Coach Belichick would have been thought of in the same light had he won those Super Bowls with Drew Bledsoe. Drew Bledsoe was the number 1 overall pick. Shouldn't number 1 overall picks win Super Bowls, Skip? Because plus, we had saw Terry Bradshaw. We had saw number 1 overall pick in Troy Aikman get to and win Super Bowl. So what's the big deal about that? But I take a 6th-round draft pick and win Super Bowls. Okay, now we're on to something. But Skip, see, for me, I just believe Coach Belichick, if he can get to and win a Super Bowl with someone other than Tom Brady, anybody, it can be Joe Suitcase, as long as his last name isn't Brady or his first name isn't Tom, Edward Patrick Brady, Skip, he's fine. And I believe that's what he wants to do. Now, Skip, you could be right. Coach Belichick gets something in his head. This is what I'm going to do. I'm moving forward with Stids. This is what I'm going to do. And he's not, maybe he needs to take off the blinders. But I believe if you bring Cam in and says, okay, Cam, I'm not promising you anything. The job is available. The best man win. If Stid beat him, Stid beats him. But if Cam beats him, okay. But I just think it was a win-win for both situations, Skip.
Okay, I hear you, but it would be one thing to go get Andy Dalton the way Jerry Jones did and pay Andy Dalton $3 million base for this year. Andy Dalton's reputation had taken such a hit over the last 5 years in Cincinnati that people would just kind of shrug and say, well, if Bill can win a Super Bowl with Andy Dalton, that would be great. But Cam Newton, he's still a superstar. He still has huge persona, huge personality, huge charisma. He can light up a room. He could take over the team. That's the last guy Bill Belichick wants to replace Tom Brady with. He's too good. He's too big. He would take over the franchise that Bill wants to take over now. Won't work.
But here's the thing, Skip. Cam was discarded. You know Coach Belichick likes to take discarded players and says, okay, you didn't know what the hell you was doing. Watch what I do with Jamie Collins. It's Cleveland. You had him. You didn't know what to do with him. Watch what I do. Buffalo, y'all didn't know what the hell y'all had with Stephon Gilmore. I'm going to turn him into Defensive Player of the Year. Look what I do with a Kyle Van Noy. Hey, Raiders, man, y'all had Randy Moss and y'all was over there bull-jiving with him. I take a Corey Dillon. That's what he likes to do, Skip. He likes to take players that other teams say, that guy can't play anymore. That guy, he's a malcontent. Coach Belichick takes great delight in taking what other people would consider trash and turning it into a treasure. And I believe this was a great opportunity for him to do that with Cam Newton. I think Cam is eager to prove that he can still play at an elite level, and all those injuries are a thing of the past.
To Bill Belichick, I say, good luck.
No mercy. Current Lakers head coach Frank Vogel was once a college assistant for Rick Pitino. And in a recent interview, Pitino said Vogel is a perfect coach for LeBron and that LeBron would trust Vogel's ability to teach and understand the game. Shannon, do you agree?
Well, I'm glad you highlighted that, Jenny, because Rick Pitino, Coach Pitino, did give Frank Vogel his first job. He was video coordinator at the University of Kentucky, and when he got his job, he brought him with him, if I'm not mistaken, to Boston. And so he's been around him. He watched him mature, and he watched him grow up. And Frank Vogel is known as a very, very hard worker, as is LeBron James. But the thing is, when you're coaching great players, when they ask you a question, you need to know what the hell you're talking about. And Frank Vogel seems to know what the hell he's talking about. He's earned LeBron James' trust. But the biggest thing that he's done for the Lakers and LeBron James, Skip, is that he shifted their mindset so much from offense and made them have a defensive mindset. And that's where they are right now. They're a very good defensive team, and I think that's aided their offense. So I do believe this is a great fit. Now, Coach Riley and Phil Jackson weren't available. Pop says, nah, I'm not interested. So I guess this is the best we could do.
It is, yeah, the best you can do, and it's not good enough, Shannon. They haven't even played a playoff game together yet. I don't think LeBron has bought into Frank Vogel. I think it could get dicey in especially a shortened playoff situation. I don't think LeBron will ever respect a man who didn't really play basketball. He played D3 college at Juniata College in Huntington, Pennsylvania for a brief stint. Then he goes to Kentucky under Pitino and became student manager for a couple of years. Then the only way he got in the NBA, Vogel, was Pitino took him to Boston as the video coordinator for 5 years before he made him an assistant. I'm sorry, it's not good enough. I think Jason Kidd is on that bench because LeBron needs a made man, a real head coach. Lionel Hollins was a head coach. To me, Vogel is more of a Jason Garrett kind of a figure where he's good with Genie and good with Pelinka, Coach Clapp, but he's not great with LeBron.
What did Pop play? What division did Pop play? Did Pop play in the NBA? What about Coach Auerbach? How did they do?
No, but that was different because Tim Duncan bought into Pop from day one.
Okay. How do you know LeBron hadn't bought in, Skip? Why you got to be so dismissive? The man that we winning. No. You want that to happen.
Yeah,
we're going to win the title. We're winning the title.
For everyone. That is it for Undisputed. We're out of time. We'll be back Monday, same time, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Hope you all have a fun and safe weekend.